Ahoy hoy, I'm Planet Walk, and Poe's law is a very interesting thing, which states that it is very difficult to tell parody and genuine belief of extreme views apart. This is because with certain extreme views, there is nothing that you can do to make it seem more ridiculous than what it actually is. For example, giants digging the moon out of the Grand Canyon, filling it with helium, and then placing it in the sky to mock us seems ridiculous, right? Well, there is someone that genuinely believes that. So why do I mention this? Well, today we are going to be looking at a flat earther that is on TikTok. However, I'm not sure whether they're serious or not. The reason being is there's something about the way that he acts that makes me think that he is either really arrogant or just doing it as a joke. I mean, to be fair, most flat earthers are arrogant, but most flat earthers don't seem to have any joy in their eyes. There seems to be something about flat earth and just having your soul absolutely crushed. But the reason why I think that he might be serious is because he's got hundreds of TikToks and a lot of them do talk about flat earth. And it's also because he shared a clip from someone who is definitely a flat earther.
What people forget is that it's not a circle around the sun. Even if it was a circle, it'd still be impossible, but it's an ellipse, which means that it changes speed. And unlike the evolution lie, where you can just keep adding billions of years, but billions and billions of years, but it's 1 year. That's a fixed amount of time and a fixed amount of speed. If you're going 66,000 miles an hour and you change 1% of your speed, and in this model it's significantly more than 1%, well, you wouldn't even feel it. No, just listen, it's a fixed amount of time. It's 1 year. If you change 1%, that's 660 miles an hour. That would liquefy all flesh.
So that is not the person that we're going to be focusing on today. That is just a clip that they shared. But I do want to address the points made in it. So yes, the Earth does change speed throughout the year. However, it's such a gradual change in speed. So let's say that you're going really fast, and for the sake of argument, we'll make it 100,000 kilometers per hour. And let's say that every minute you are slowed down by 50 meters per hour. Over the course of the minute, do you think you're going to notice that? My guess is that you would not notice that kind of change. Now, that change is larger than what the Earth experiences when it accelerates or decelerates. So it's definitely not the kind of change in velocity that is going to give you whiplash, let alone melt your insides. Now, some people might say, and I thought this is where he was going with this, how does a year remain constant if the Earth is changing speeds? And the answer to that, of course, is that the change in speed is regular and happens at the same time every year because it's happening at the same time in our orbit. It's not like the Earth's speed is randomly changing every couple of weeks. Alright, so that's a small distraction because I've just got to debunk all nonsense that I see. Let's take a look at the main subject of this video.
Yo, we've got something really weird to talk about today. So, we're first gonna start off with this. Who knows about the Antarctic Treaty?
So firstly, yes, that is a hat that says tinfoil on it. I don't get why he didn't just, create his own actual tinfoil hat like I did. And secondly, yeah, I know about the Antarctic Treaty. Do you know what it actually says, or are you just going to parrot what flat earthers say that it says?
Come on, anybody know about the Antarctic Treaty? Nah, it's signed in 1957. Anybody know? Every single nation in the whole world agreed on it. It's the only treaty that every single nation in the whole world has ever agreed on. Wow, it must be a really important one. What happened here? Right after they said that the Earth is a ball, they started saying that satellites were orbiting us.
I think that this tinfoil hat may be messing with my brains because it sounded like he just randomly brought up the Antarctic Treaty and then didn't really say much about it.
Ever agreed on? Wow, it must be a really important one. What happened here? Right after they said that the Earth is a ball, they started saying that satellites were orbiting us.
Okay, it's not my imagination. He actually just brought up the Antarctic Treaty and then didn't really say anything important about it. Like, if you're going to bring up the Antarctic Treaty, at least explain even a tiny amount about the Antarctic Treaty, like the fact that it's a treaty that was designed to protect Antarctica. There you go, I've explained a little bit about the treaty, although I should have probably said preserve instead of protect.
Let's look at a couple more pictures. Wow. Wow. Okay, that's not a very good one. Let's look at another. Okay. That just...
So I should probably mention that those satellites wouldn't actually be visible in a photo of Earth. And this is because the Earth is large, and satellites are kind of tiny compared to the Earth. It's kind of like taking a photo of an entire football field and there being no ants visible in that photo. If you were to conclude that there's no ants on that football field because you could see no ants in that photo, then that would be bad reasoning.
Wow, when I logically think about that, if we're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour, orbiting it at 66,616 miles per hour, how do all those things stay in the, geocentrically? Do you guys know what a geocentric satellite is? Yeah, I've got a picture for you. Don't worry. One second. So they stay on those same lines, they say. It's a geocentric satellite. And some of them, they say, stay in the exact same spot over the same piece of land. Wow. That is so crazy to think about when it's separated from the Earth and we're spinning 1,000 miles at the equator. How the hell does it do that? Maybe it's not doing that.
So firstly, it is geostationary, not geocentric. These are two different words and you should use the correct word. And secondly, geostationary orbit is actually quite interesting because you've essentially got to try and get a satellite orbiting the Earth once a day, like the Himawari satellite does. And to achieve this, you actually have to have the satellite orbiting further away from Earth than the ISS, because you actually have to have it going slower than the ISS. If you tried to put a geostationary satellite at the same altitude as the ISS, it would just fall out of the sky. Anyway, because geostationary satellites orbit the Earth once a day, this means that they are constantly over the exact same position on the Earth. And for any flat earthers that are confused, this is because the Earth rotates once a day. I don't know if that necessarily clears things up or if flat earthers will just get more confused because they didn't understand what I said there.
Here, let me throw up another picture. Still believe that's 2015, how many satellites they say are around us. Imagine what's going on in 2022. You know, Elon Musk is taking probably a lot of satellites up there.
Yep, and I'm pretty sure I've seen one of the Starlink trails with my own eyes. So yeah, they're definitely up there.
Oh, I know. It hurts.
That is true, but after listening to people like you for a long time, eventually you get used to it and the stupid stops hurting you.
It really hurts. And guess what? All the stars, they go around us in a perfect circle, but we're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour. Shouldn't they be like straight? Shouldn't we be like Star Wars? You know, have you ever seen Star Wars? Where he's flying the ship and all the fucking stars are going past you, but we're doing fucking Mach 88 chasing the sun, but the stars do that. Wow.
Alright, I've got a big secret to tell you. You can't tell anyone though. Star Wars isn't real.
It's fiction. It's fiction. We made it up. We made this one up. It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication. It never happened. It never happened. This one was invented by a writer.
So just because you see something in a fictional movie like Star Wars, that doesn't mean you'd expect to see it in real life. So because stars are so far away, we wouldn't actually expect them to move all that much. The closest star to Earth, apart from the sun, is 4 light years away. Expecting stars to just move along the sky in a line because we're going so fast through the universe is like expecting pitch to act like water. They may both be liquids, but pitch has a far higher viscosity than water.
I'm starting to think I've been lied to.
Or maybe, just maybe, you might have misunderstood a lot.
Built in the 1500s. I made another video on it. The last 2 videos I posted, 1500s, but yeah, they couldn't fly planes back then. How did they get it so perfect? Why did they make it perfect where it would look like this from the sky? Why would they do that? Think!
That wasn't actually meant to be viewed from the sky. That is what is called a Bastion Fort. The design is not so much an artistic design, but more of a strategic design, as it lessened the dead zone of turrets. So essentially it was a design that had far better defences than a simple circular fort. So that was just one of this Flat Earth's videos. Let's go ahead and take a look at his first video.
Okay, I'm genuinely curious, like what people think about this. Like, I've asked people and nobody can make sense of it. So, this guy.
So that is actually someone that I'm thinking about making a video on, although some people on my Discord, link in the description, have said that I shouldn't make a video on him. He's a person that claims things like, the sun doesn't cause skin cancer, it's actually the sunscreen, unless it's zinc. But because he sells products like CBD oil, some people worry that people might watch my videos and then decide to buy his product, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I want to get more opinions.
As you can see, is talking about the artificial sun that China launched. And he says in here, in the video, it burns 7 times hotter than our sun. And if we believe that the sun's millions of miles away, and if it gets closer, it'll end all of civilization, how in the hell does everyone believe that they launched a sun from Earth's crust, an artificial sun that's 7 times hotter?
So I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about, but it sounds like he's talking about nuclear fusion. The reason why it sounds like that is because what's going on in the sun is essentially fusion, and that's what we are trying to achieve here on Earth. Now, of course, when it comes to fusion experiments here on Earth, they're nowhere near the scale of the actual sun. There's just simply not enough space here on Earth to make something the size of the sun. Now, as for the whole, it's 8 times hotter than the sun. Yes, because to do fusion here on Earth, it needs to be way hotter than the temperatures that the sun reaches. And that is because fusion doesn't actually happen at the rate that we would like it to happen when you have just the temperatures of the sun. Therefore, we need to raise the temperature of the system, which adds more energy, and more energy means that there are more fusion reactions. Now, you may think like this person, oh, but it's 8 times hotter than the sun. That would kill everyone, right? No, because it's not as big as the sun, as I mentioned earlier. If you have a really small space with a really high temperature, then that temperature will tend to dissipate quite quickly. That's why if you have a coffee, the more you drink of that coffee, the quicker it will start to cool. The sun really isn't going to cool down anytime soon, but something that's a lot smaller than the sun, even though it might be hotter, that can cool down a lot quicker than the sun. But then some people might say, oh, but if it's turned on, shouldn't it be just like the sun here on Earth? Again, no, because it's contained in a much smaller space than the actual sun. Heat will dissipate much more quickly as it gets further away from it. For example, magma and a blast furnace, roughly the same temperature. But you're going to feel a lot hotter standing near an active volcano, like right near an active volcano, than you would standing near a blast furnace while it's active. And by right near an active volcano, I mean you can stick your foot in magma near an active volcano, not a few kilometers away from the magma. I also do not recommend that you do this because that would be incredibly dangerous. But I'm going to show one last video from this guy, which is a pretty recent one, and really makes me wonder if this guy is joking or not, because some of the claims is very wild. You'll see.
Yeah, Caleb, here I've got a couple. The Earth's flat. Satellites aren't real. They're not orbiting us. There's not 3,000 satellites orbiting us. The ISS isn't orbiting us.
I mean, I have seen Starlink trails, and I know people who have taken photos of the ISS flying past the moon. They then used parallax to try and calculate the distance between them and the ISS, and it was about where you'd expect it to be. I'll leave a link to it up there if I remember to do so.
Dinosaurs weren't real.
Then what about the fossils that we find of dinosaurs? What are they then? Let me guess, you don't believe that the fossils are real. That would be it.
Here's some things that are real. Giants, real. Dragons, real. Why did they talk about them so much in history all across the world? Why did they all talk about dragons?
A lot of people have talked about witches throughout history. That does not mean that witches are real. Just because a lot of people talk about a thing does not make that thing real. In which case, you'd have to admit the Earth is a globe, because a lot of people throughout history have talked about the Earth being a globe.
Evolution? Not real.
There is a lot of evidence for evolution. Everything from genetics to the fossil record to radiometric dating is evidence for evolution. If you don't agree with that, fine, but it doesn't make you right.
Global warming? Not real, my dude. Yeah, no, not real. The ice caps are not melting.
Temperature increase has been observed across the globe in the last 40 years. Weather events are getting far more extreme. Climate change is happening. It's just that some people live in areas where the effects of climate change are not apparent. And just because you cannot see the effects of something doesn't mean that that thing isn't happening.
Antarctica? Not a continent, my dude. An ice wall that encompasses us. Right around the edge, right there. Right up here.
Antarctica is not an ice wall, because if it were, then you would not be able to get 24-hour sunlight in Antarctica, which is a thing that does happen in Antarctica. That is not possible on the flat Earth.
But yeah, no, there's lots of stuff going on in this realm. National parks? Yeah, the military's being deployed to national parks right now, by the way, to fight giants. Yeah, it's a fun place to be.
The military is getting deployed in national parks to fight giants, huh? I mean, that isn't the wackiest claim that I have heard, but it's still pretty wacky. At least it isn't the Roman Catholic Church existing in 500 BC that tops it, but this comes in a close second. I'm pretty sure this is what is called making shit up, for lack of a better term. So with that, is this guy serious? I don't know. It's impossible to tell, because flat earthers just believe the wildest things. With flat earthers, there's really nothing that's off the table for them to believe in. They will believe any conspiracy as long as it doesn't involve the Earth being a sphere. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Is this person serious? Is this person joking? Or have you suffered irreversible brain damage? Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you like this video, and ring the bell notification icon so that you get notified of when I post new videos. As always, a big shout out to my $20 or more patrons: Hugh Jarsz, M.C.Nutkin, SHaKie, Wolfie, Morrie, Graymore Ghost, KidVicious, Sacha Campbell, and Militant Agnostic. If you want to support me financially, you can do so on Patreon. There should be a link right there. But anyway, I will see you in the next video. Between you and me, thank you for watching.